Running mate on Tuesday, SNL producer Lorne Michaels called Steve Martin to offer him the role. The actor told the Los Angeles Times that he told Michaels he's not an impressionist, joking, quote, "I was picked because I have gray hair and glasses." Maya Rudolph will reprise her role as Kamala Harris. And that does it for today. We will be back for another edition of America Decides Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. The Daily Report with John Dickerson starts right now. Welcome to the Daily Report for Thursday, August 8th, 2024. I'm Lindsay Reiser in for John Dickerson. Tonight, the former president holds a press conference at Mar-a-Lago, agreeing to debate Vice President Kamala Harris and slamming her on immigration and crime. Plus, the response from the Harris-Walz campaign as Republicans target the Minnesota governor's military record. We're tracking continued rainfall in North Carolina from Tropical Storm Debby as the storm moves up the East Coast, and New York and Vermont brace for isolated flooding. Tragedy averted. We're learning scary new details into the foiled plot to attack Taylor Swift's concerts overseas. What law enforcement found inside one of the suspects' homes. Olympic sprinter Noah Lyles taken off the track in a wheelchair amid a case of COVID. How he's doing after finishing third and what we're learning about his decision to race. And the public sees pandas at the San Diego Zoo for the first time in 5 years. The Daily Report starts right now. Hello, thank you for joining us. We begin our report with former President Donald Trump on the attack, trying to counter what he calls his opponent's honeymoon phase.
It's the same policies, open borders, weak on crime. I think she's worse than Biden because he got forced into the position. She was there long before. She destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed California as the AG. We have somebody that, in my opinion, is more incompetent. She couldn't pass her bar exam and lots of other things. And she should not be in a position because if she becomes president, our country is going to be a giant fail. It's going to fail.
This was Trump's first press conference since his controversial remarks at the National Association of Black Journalists convention last week, in which he falsely questioned Harris's racial background and suggested she had, quote, happened to turn black. Today, Trump also said he has agreed to debate Harris 3 times next month. Meanwhile, Harris and Walz are continuing their battleground state tour. They spoke Thursday at a United Auto Workers Union Hall in Detroit. The UAW has been a key endorsement for Harris that the campaign hopes will help boost her support from working class voters.
Where there's a suggestion that somehow strength is about making people feel small, making people feel alone. But isn't that the very opposite of what we know unions know to be strength? It's about the collective. It's about understanding no one should ever be made to fight alone.
CBS News campaign reporter Ali Nomello joins me now. Ali, you were at the Trump press conference today at Mar-a-Lago. Why hold this press conference now?
Hi, Lindsay. Yes, I'm here near Mar-a-Lago, where earlier today, former President Donald Trump delivered a lengthy press conference. He fielded questions from reporters left and right. He really talked about Vice President Harris and her record with the Biden-Harris administration. During this press conference, he took several moments to take jabs at her, saying that under her time as vice president, she has failed the border. He's pointed to crime rates in the country, and he's also focused on the economy, particularly on inflation. So those are just some of the issues that he really focused on today at this press conference, hoping to sort of talk about that honeymoon phase that Harris is experiencing at this time.
Yeah, and some of the arguments that we heard, again, the radical left moniker that we've heard before, questioning her intelligence, slamming her on the border, tying her to a title of border czar, also saying that prisons were emptying out into our country. What are the emerging lines of attack? And did you get a sense that the former president was sort of testing lines to see what would stick among voters?
Yeah, well, reporters did ask Donald Trump if he planned to change up his strategy now that he's facing Vice President Harris, and he told reporters that his strategy remains the same. He believes that voters care about the economy, particularly inflation. He believes that voters care about the border crisis, and he has pinned the border to Vice President Harris, and he has also talked about crime rates. So he has said that his strategy is not going to change now that he is facing a new political opponent in November. He did say that he was expecting to go up against Biden, but again, that doesn't change his strategy at this time.
Yeah, we heard as much on Truth Social. He was saying this election is about the economy, it's about inflation, it's about the border. What more can you tell us, Ali, about the debates that Trump says he has committed to?
Absolutely. Well, we know that former President Trump has said that he was expecting to debate Biden, right? And he couldn't fully commit to the debate with ABC in the beginning, but he did tell reporters today that he is committed to 3 upcoming debates next month. His campaign confirmed that he is expecting to be at the debate with Fox on September 4th, a debate with ABC on September 10th, and another debate with NBC on September 25th. Now, again, former President Trump had said to reporters that he would debate Biden anytime, any place. And while he didn't say the same about Harris immediately, he has now committed to those 3 debates. And he said so earlier today at his home in Mar-a-Lago.
Ali Novello, thank you. I'm joined now by campaign reporter Shauna Mizell in Minneapolis following Vice President Kamala Harris's running mate, Governor Tim Walz. Of course, Walz is on the road with Harris. Shauna, good to see you. One of Trump's campaign critiques of Harris is that she's not taking questions from the press. Can you fact check us on this?
Lindsay, good to be with you. That is exactly right. Trump, J.D. Vance, and other Republican allies were repeatedly going after Kamala Harris, saying she had not been seen. They were asking, where's Kamala? They said that she had not been seen since Biden stepped down and she became the presumptive Democratic nominee for president. But just earlier today on the tarmac in Detroit, Vice President Harris actually did take questions in a gaggle with reporters, and some of the things that she addressed are some of the things that we just heard from our Ali Novello, some of the things that Trump said. She did acknowledge Trump saying that he will debate her. She said she was happy about that, and took a few more other questions amid all of that controversy and questioning from Republican operatives saying, where is she and why isn't she talking to reporters?
You know, in recent days, the Trump campaign has used Walz's military record as a line of attack. What specifically has Senator J.D. Vance been saying, and how is the Harris campaign responding?
Ohio Senator J.D. Vance also has military experience. In fact, he served after 9/11 and before going on to Ohio State. And so he has actually been saying that Walz ran for Congress knowing that his unit would soon be deployed overseas. He said Walz has not been in a combat zone. But what we've heard from the Harris and Walz campaign seems to be taking a little bit of a higher road. They've essentially said that they would never slam anybody for their service, and said that Walz, in fact, thanks to J.D. Vance for his military service.
I want to ask you about something else that we heard from Ali, and that is this idea of debating. What is the Harris team saying? We know that Trump said he would debate Harris 3 times next month, September 4th, 10th, and 25th. There's also a potential VP debate on CBS News. What is the Harris team saying?
Well, that all remains to be seen, just what network is going to be hosting these debates. That ABC debate is the one that had been previously agreed upon when the Democratic candidate was Joe Biden. But now that Kamala Harris is at the top of the Democratic ticket and the presumptive nominee, we will have to see just what network ends up hosting that. But it seems like that ABC debate is the one that we can count on most for happening.
Yeah, a Harris campaign spokesperson saying Harris is open to and eager to discussing more debates, but also saying Trump has to show up to the September 10th debate first, not making any mention of that September 4th debate. Shauna Mizell, thank you. The United States, Egypt, and Qatar have released a joint statement urging Israel and Hamas to resume ceasefire talks by August 15th. Meanwhile, the Biden administration is warning Iran that it could face serious consequences if it launches a major attack on Israel. CBS News foreign correspondent Ramy Inocencio has more from Tel Aviv. Ramy?
Lindsay, hi there. Yeah, the U.S. has said that if Iran did launch a retaliatory strike against Israel, then an escalation could hurt Iran's economy and hurt the economy of every country in this region. And that came from Matt Miller, the State Department spokesman, who outlined the potential pain to Iran, which is already struggling under the weight of decades of sanctions. Also today, U.S. Central Command confirmed that squadron of F-22 fighter jets that we reported about a few days ago have now arrived in the Mideast. They join an extra squadron of F-18s that arrived earlier this week as well. Now, those all have the ability to shoot down missiles and drones from Iran if it does indeed attack Israel. Meanwhile, Israel's military stepped up its own strikes across the Gaza Strip today and killed at least 25 people, most of them in 2 refugee camps in the central part of the enclave. Now, Israel sees those as strongholds for Hamas and other militants. Israeli warplanes also bombed a house in Gaza City, killing another 5 people. Lindsay, now the number of dead is closing in on 40,000 people since October 7th, after Hamas invaded Israel.
Remy Inocencio, thank you. Tropical Storm Debby made its second landfall in South Carolina Thursday. There were multiple tornadoes from Florida to the Carolinas. One is being blamed for at least 1 death in North Carolina. Officials have tied Debby to 6 other deaths, 5 in Florida and 1 in Georgia. The storm is expected to bring heavy rain and possible flooding all the way up to the northeast by the weekend. CBS News correspondent Christian Benavides is tracking Debby. He joins us from Lucama, North Carolina. So, Christian, how are the conditions right now?
Lindsay, at this point, we are still under a tornado watch. And just take a look at what happened right behind me. This is Lucama. A tornado tore not just through this home where a man was killed, but also tore the roof off and the wall off of a middle school less than a mile from where we're currently located. So this entire state also reeling from flooding earlier in the day. Earlier today, we were in a different town where there was a main street, and this entire main street flooded the businesses that were there. I spoke to one woman, this woman who told me that it was the middle of the night, and she suddenly got a call from the fire department that her business was flooding. She rushed over and started putting things up on tables so that they wouldn't flood. And at that moment, about 20 other people from the town, because it's a small town, also rushed in to go ahead and help her with that, because a lot of the towns that have been affected by this are small towns where everyone knows each other. It's been quite interesting to see how people are coming together in the face of tragedy, in the face of incidents like this happening. But once again, the aftermath of Debby is real. We've got 1 death here. That brings the total to 7 if you include at least the 5 that happened in Florida. Certainly, the system now moving into the northeast, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. This slow-moving system that we've been tracking now since over the weekend.
Yeah, just the destruction behind you, pretty incredible there. Where is Debby headed next? What should people expect?
Well, look, it's headed to the northeast. We'll have to see what happens once it gets there. We know that the governor of Virginia has already told folks there that live in low-lying areas, communities in low-lying areas, that there's the threat of potential flooding in the coming days. I think what is most dangerous about this, and what you have to remember, is that long after the storm leaves, there are rivers that start overflowing, and that's when you start to see some of the flooding in some of these communities.
Christian Benavides, you and your crew have been going from town to town, really up and down the eastern seaboard throughout this tropical storm. Really appreciate all that you're doing to bring this to us. Hope you continue to stay safe. Thank you. Well, a woman was found dead in a conveyor belt Thursday morning at Chicago's O'Hare Airport. The fire department responded to reports of someone trapped in machinery at the airport's Terminal 5 used for international flights. Authorities said the woman, believed to be in her 40s and not believed to be an airport employee, was pronounced dead on the scene. Police are handling the case and treating the area as a crime scene. As of right now, it's unclear if her death was the result of an accident or foul play. Still to come this hour, Japan issues a rare mega quake warning. We'll take a look at the recent tremor that has people on alert. Plus, an American Olympian reveals a COVID diagnosis right after running his latest race. What we know about how Noah Lyles is doing and how the USA track and field team is responding. You're streaming The Daily Report.
Coming up, our series. Wait a minute. Tom, is that you working the camera?
Keep leaning out of your close-up.
Your morning routine just got better. CBS Mornings, weekdays at 7.
I had progressively fallen deeper into the world of online sports betting.
The risk is the rush.
What do you think is driving the spike in popularity?
I think it's legality.
If it's legal, I'm going to use it. There are ways to bet when you are 18.
We've created an epidemic of child gambling.
You can't walk into a male dormitory in a college campus without sports betting happening.
It's America's most neglected problem.
I used sports betting as a way to escape, when in reality, I'm choosing self-destruction. Whatever I had left, it was gone.
The purpose of the industry is to get you to play to extinction. And that means until all your money is gone.
Go to the ends of the earth. Reach for the stars.
Yeah, I just took off. That kind of thing.
Oh, that's pretty good. Because there's always something new under the sun on CBS Sunday morning.
An original documentary from CBS Reports.
That Desired Farm is a wonderful place to raise children, and it still is.
Promises broken.
Black Americans have been the target of racism and discrimination pretty much from the time they acquired ownership in the land.
Costing black farmers hundreds of billions in generational wealth.
They did everything to make sure we were run off that land.
But communities are uniting to continue the fight.
Collective ownership is powerful.
To keep their land and their dreams alive.
To watch my children play on land that we own means everything.
So land is power.
Most definitely.
40 Acres and a Mule, now streaming on the free CBS News app.
People with developmental disabilities were once sequestered by the hundreds of thousands in institutions.
Many of our fellow citizens are suffering tremendously because lack of attention, lack of imagination, lack of adequate manpower.
Disability activists have since torn down barriers blocking them from living at home or in the community.
We conclude that Title II of the ADA requires states to provide community-based treatment for persons with mental disabilities.
But of the 16,000 people who remain in state-operated institutions, half are in 5 states, and Illinois is one of them.
I don't want to live in the institution. It makes me feel discriminated against.
Do you think there are people living in institutions in Illinois that don't need to be living there?
Yeah, because they're proving it as soon as they get out.
American sprinter Noah Lyles won the bronze medal in the 200-meter final Thursday, but ended up gasping for air and in a wheelchair after finishing the race. We've since learned that Lyles, who battles asthma and won the gold medal in the men's 100-meter final on Sunday, has COVID-19. He revealed he was diagnosed Tuesday morning and that he had no intentions of missing competition. Despite the diagnosis, Lyles was seen interacting with other sprinters unmasked before and after Thursday's race. CBS Saturday Morning co-host and CBS News and sports correspondent Dana Jacobson joins us now from Paris. So, Dana, despite this diagnosis, the U.S. track and field team allowed Lyles to run without issue. What are they saying?
Well, they're following CDC guidelines, they say, and also Olympic guidelines from the U.S. Olympic Committee, also USA Track and Field. Remember, we're not in COVID of a couple years ago or when we were even at the Tokyo Games, a different time now with those CDC guidelines. But they say they followed all the protocols that they needed to and wanted to respect his wishes in order to run. One of the things to look for, Lindsay, going forward, remember, he was supposed to be in the 4x100 relay, which would have been tomorrow on Friday. Now, at first, he said he was going to leave that up to his teammates to decide whether or not he could run, but he just posted within the last few minutes on Instagram saying that he believes this will be the end of his 2024 Olympics, not the Olympics he dreamed of, but it's left me with so much joy in my heart. He hopes everyone enjoyed the show. And this was very Noah Lyles-like in saying whether you were rooting for me or against me, you have to admit you watched, didn't you? And you mentioned that he was interacting with people unmasked. There are also some photos that were out earlier that showed him interacting while he was masked as well. Again, we can only go by what we're being told by the U.S. Olympic Committee and the IOC, and that is that they did follow all of the CDC protocols that they should be doing. surrounding COVID-19.
Yeah, he told a reporter on the sidelines, too, he was quarantining. All right, let's go to some of the other events. The U.S. men's basketball team, they advanced to the gold medal game against France Thursday. Wasn't easy for them.
Barely advanced. This was one, if you're used to watching NBA games and people say don't watch till the last 4 minutes, that's kind of what this came down to. Team USA trailing and trailing big. And lo and behold, Joel Embiid helped lead them back into it. And Steph Curry, remember, I may have mentioned this with you the other day. Steph Curry has not won an Olympic gold medal yet. Steph Curry gave them the lead, extended it a little bit, and Team USA was able to walk away. But the largest lead they had with about, I think it was 1:40 left to play, 5 points, very unlike the team that we are used to seeing. Remember, they're trying to win their 5th gold medal in the Olympic Games. The women, on the other hand, are trying to win an 8th gold medal. So a lot of pressure on both these clubs. And I talked with Sue Bird earlier. She's a WNBA legend. She's won 5 straight Olympic golds. She's not playing for the first time in 6 Olympic Games this year. A lot of stuff that we discussed, including this even split between men and women in sports at the Olympics. This Olympics is the first one where we have seen equal men, equal women participation. Right. Just watching, it's been incredible, I would say. What does that mean to you as somebody who is an Olympian and has fought to get to this point?
It means so much. It means so much. I think women are really starting to take over a little bit in the sports space. There's been, historically a ton of reasons why we've been held back through the years, whether it's participation itself or the ways that we've been marketed or supported. So to now see all of those things start to change, all those tides are rising, and you're seeing it. I think the Olympics is really showcasing what happens when you invest in women's sports.
And I think one of the really cool things that you'll see, the men are playing in their final game on Saturday. The women get the biggest stage of all on Sunday when that gold medal game will be held. Team USA, though, for the women still has to get through that semifinal first, Lindsay.
Real quick, we're starting to hear how the closing ceremonies are going to go. And I love that the most decorated female Olympian of all time was brought to tears when she was told she would bear the USA flag.
Yeah, you'd think Katie Ledecky's done it all, so how could there be anything else? But learning that she would be a flag bearer did it for her. Nick Mead will join her. Again, remember, it's that even split, so they've got a man and a woman. Mead, part of the rowing team that won gold for the first time since the 1960 Games. He said he got chills, and I believe he also said he has to get a haircut. So both very excited about what is in store for them on Sunday come these closing ceremonies.
Dana Jacobson in Paris. I don't know what we're going to do without all these segments from you in every show, but we'll see you for a few more days. Thank you. Now to a digest of some other foreign stories. A magnitude 7.1 earthquake struck near the coast of southern Japan Thursday, injuring at least 9 people. Officials say there were no reports of serious damage. While the immediate danger has passed, Japan's meteorological agency has issued what it calls a mega earthquake warning for the region, saying there is a higher than normal possibility of a powerful tremor in the days ahead. Protests have reignited in Kenya's capital city as people call for President William Ruto to resign. The latest round of demonstrations came as members of the president's new cabinet were sworn in. Police arrested more than 170 people Thursday. Protests first erupted in June over a proposal to raise taxes, which the president ultimately withdrew. Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus has been sworn in as the temporary head of Bangladesh's interim government after chaotic protests forced the former prime minister to step down and leave the country. More than 300 people were killed in those anti-government protests, which kicked off in mid-July. Yunus says he intends to unite the country and restore peace ahead of upcoming elections. Now to some breaking news. Texas Governor Greg Abbott issued an executive order Thursday requiring hospitals to ask patients their immigration status. Abbott says the order would not affect patient care. It directs hospital staff to, quote, collect information regarding patients who are not lawfully present in the United States. It applies to all inpatient discharges and emergency room visits. Hospitals will also be directed to collect the total cost of the care provided to such patient. CBS News immigration and politics reporter Camilo Montoya Galvez joins me now. So, Camila, what's at the heart of this decision? Do you expect it will be challenged, and what could be the ripple effects?
Hi, Lindsay. Under this executive order by Texas Governor Greg Abbott, hospitals in the state will be required starting in November to start collecting the information on the immigration status of the patients that they serve in their facilities. And this is part of an effort that the governor says is meant to better understand how much it is costing the state, Lindsay, to provide medical assistance and emergency care to migrants who recently crossed the U.S.-Mexico border and others who are in the country illegally. He suggests that after calculating these costs, the state will try to convince the federal government, right now that's of course the Biden administration, to reimburse the state for these costs. He is alleging that the state is shouldering a disproportionate economic burden in terms of providing medical care to the hundreds of thousands of migrants who have been crossing the border per year under the Biden administration. But again, he is reiterating in this order that this will not affect patient care, that migrants will not be denied medical care based on their immigration status. But nonetheless, it is very important that advocates have long viewed these types of executive orders and policies by some states as meant to have a chilling effect on immigrant communities. And they fear that the upshot, Lindsay, is that some immigrants, whether they're here legally or illegally, will now be scared to access medical care, including emergency medical care, because they fear that could have repercussions on their immigration cases. So this is just the latest effort by Texas to really challenge the federal government on this polarizing issue of immigration.
We know this recently broke, and you'll continue to report on this. Camilo Montoya Galvez, thank you. We've got new details on that thwarted plot to attack a Taylor Swift concert abroad. When we come back, we'll show you what police found while searching one of the suspects' homes. You're streaming the Daily Report.
On our places, bright, shiny faces.
When you wake up in the morning, we want to be your go-to team.
Nate has one of the quickest minds I've ever seen.
Tony has a way of making people feel comfortable.
Gail has this unbelievable knack to ask the question that you're asking at home.
I've been told I could talk to a tree, and that's pretty much true.
I don't go to work in the morning. I go for coffee with my two good friends, and we talk about the world.
Your morning routine just got better. CBS Mornings, weekdays at 7.
It didn't seem like anything could happen, because nothing ever happens in East Palestine, but it did.
Authorities released toxic fumes from 5 derailed train cars.
Resident, please evacuate.
Acute bronchitis due to chemical fumes.
Did you ever have these problems before the derailment?
No, ma'am.
This neighborhood's not safe no more.
We can assure the community that there's not vinyl chloride entering their communities.
Then why are there so many people feeling these various symptoms of bloody noses or difficulty breathing, bronchitis?
That's a hard question to answer.
We're talking about one of the most blatant releases of a mixture of some of the most toxic chemicals that we've seen in America.
I feel like now I have a duty to warn other communities. If my daughter has to watch me die of cancer, at least it saves someone else.
This case.
It's like a screenplay, something straight out of Hollywood.
But it's not fiction. It's 48 hours.
Human remains found this week.
4 families shattered.
There's no physical evidence.
The mystery would haunt investigators for years.
There's some questions that have to be asked and need to be answered.
Like a John Grisham novel.
A gripping true crime original. 48 hours. Now streaming on the free CBS News app.
Stories that inform.
You can be really old at 60, and you can be really young at 85.
Inspire.
How do we unlock the power within ourselves to be who we want to be?
And brighten your day.
The best part of fame is making people feel good. Always send the people home happy.
Make every day a little more like Sunday morning.
Here comes the sun.
Stream now on the free CBS News app.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Dragon capsule here in space.
sightseers in space, the thrill of a lifetime.
Seeing the Earth from space, it was so exhilarating.
But the risks that come with the territory.
There have been 4 fatal accidents. That's a 1% fatal accident rate.
Might make you look before you launch.
If you had 1 out of 100 airplanes falling out of the sky, we'd have a public crisis.
Space tourism, now streaming on the free CBS News app.
Welcome back to the Daily Report. I'm Lindsay Reiser. Here are some additions to our top stories. Former President Donald Trump says he'll take part in 3 debates against Vice President Kamala Harris next month, including a matchup he pulled out of less than a week ago. After Trump's press conference Thursday, ABC confirmed it will host a debate on September 10th. Trump also mentioned a September 4th debate on Fox, but the Harris campaign says that while she's open to discuss more debates, Trump needs to show up on the 10th first. The CDC announced COVID-19 was the 10th leading cause of death in the U.S. last year. It's a significant drop from 2022, when the virus was in 4th place. Deaths have declined mainly due to vaccinations and immunity. After slamming into Florida as a hurricane earlier this week, Tropical Storm Debby has made landfall again, this time in South Carolina. Debby is now making its way up the East Coast. Residents as far north as New England could feel the effects, possibly getting several inches of rain this weekend. CBS News has obtained body cam video of the moment local police confronted the gunman who attempted to assassinate former President Donald Trump at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania last month. The first key part of the video, which does not have audio, shows an officer with the Butler Township Police Department climbing onto the roof where the shooter was setting up. Remember, that was outside the perimeter where Trump was speaking. He quickly jumps off the roof and races back to his patrol car, alerting fellow officers of what he saw.
This close, bro. Dude, he turned around on me. Where's he at? Where's he at? He's straight up.
Okay, we have 2 civilians attending to him.
Jen Barrasso joins me now. She's a reporter with CBS News Pittsburgh. Jen, what have we learned from this?
Well, the thing that sticks out to me is we see in this body camera video the mad scramble. Police officers just rushing, trained to do what they do in this type of situation, and just getting on top of that roof and just realizing that, yes, Thomas Crooks is in fact dead, but also realizing just how uncovered this AGR roof, this AGR complex really was. And that was one thing that was stunning. That officers complaining just, why wasn't this roof covered? And this is something that sources have been telling me, local sources, Butler Township Police, in fact, telling me that they told Secret Service that they did not have the manpower to cover the AGR complex. And that was something they told Secret Service what their plan was after that. But you heard just the gut reaction from these officers. They felt defeated. Man, we didn't get him. And just how could this have happened? Just this uncovered roof. And once again, just a compelling video, just the first time that we've seen that Butler Township officer who came face to face with Thomas Crooks, gripping on and then falling down. So it was just quite stunning.
And Jen, I have one more question real quick with you, because I know the Secret Service is looking into why communication wasn't relayed from local law enforcement to Secret Service. We heard some of that in this video saying, were you on the same frequency?
And right, I actually reached out to the press person for the Secret Service in D.C. and trying to get more information about that. Exactly what was told and what did they hear and what did they relay. And really, honestly, at this point, this spokesperson telling me we're still looking into that, even weeks after this attempted assassination.
Yeah, a major part of the investigation. Jen Barrasso, thank you so much. At least 2 Austrian teenagers are in custody in connection with a suspected terror attack on the upcoming Taylor Swift concerts in Vienna. Authorities say they found Islamic State and al-Qaeda materials while searching the home of one of the suspects. CBS News Homeland Security reporter Nicole Skanga has more details from Washington. Nicole?
Austrian authorities revealed today 2 teenage suspects plan to drive a bomb-filled car into crowds outside Ernst Happel Stadium. Police there scouring the home of this 19-year-old suspect, who they say posted an oath of allegiance last month online to the current leader of the Islamic State group. Authorities searched their home, finding machetes, knives, timers, and explosives, including a volatile peroxide-based chemical used in bomb making. A source familiar with the investigation told our colleague CBS News' Pat Milton. Also in custody today, a 17-year-old alleged accomplice who worked as a contractor for the concert venue. Police say the minor would have been on duty during Swift's concert. Sources familiar with the investigation also telling CBS News the information that led to the arrests here originated from U.S. intelligence, adding that Austrian authorities found an emergency siren device while searching through one of the suspects' homes, an apparent way for suspects to get their car through security by pretending to be police. Now, disappointed concert goers have been registering that disappointment on social media, some traveling from the U.S., spending hours on planes and thousands in travel expenses just to see Taylor Swift in person. But in the streets of Vienna today, a defiant celebration also emerging as members of Taylor Nation, as it's called, sang her lyrics and swapped friendship bracelets downtown, a tribute to the megastar on what was meant to be opening day of her sold-out 3-concert series. The second-to-last stop on the European leg of the highest-grossing tour in music history. These events in Austria also bringing back painful memories 7 years ago of that terror attack at an Ariana Grande concert in Manchester, England. That bombing killed 22 people. Lindsay?
Nicole Skanga in Washington, thank you. Clara Brokert is a research fellow at the Soufan Center, an organization focused on global security issues. She joins me now. Clara, thanks for being with us. You saw in that video, thankfully, you can't stop Swifties. They were still out there singing songs. But on a more serious note, why this target? Is it about the artists, the fans, the fanfare?
Thank you for having me, and that's a really good question. First of all, I will say that the sheer size of this kind of event, with over 65,000 fans attending every concert and a lot of media attention, really makes this a perfect target for terrorists. Terrorism does not just aim to kill, as we know. It also aims to instill fear and chaos and a sense of insecurity in the general public. Targeting a popular American pop star's concerts does really fit that psychology. At the same time, this fits with a trend we're noting of jihadis singling out soft targets. So soft targets are locations that are relatively unprotected and really easily accessible to the public. So with concerts and events, as your colleague mentioned, we have seen jihadists target numerous music events. We've seen the Bataclan Concert Hall in France target in 2015, the Manchester bombing, targeting the Ariana Grande concert in 2017. And more recently this year, we saw the ISIS-K attack at the Crocus City Hall in Moscow, which was another soft target. And the same thing is happening to all kinds of other soft targets, including sport events.
How does radicalization begin and lead to a plot like this? And also, what's your advice to concertgoers who just simply want to go to a show?
So first, on the radicalization part, I think it's important to note that the 19-year-old main suspect had been on the radar of Austrian intelligence services. And it's also known that he was radicalized online alongside the other suspects. That's another trend we're noticing. We're seeing Islamist influencers leveraging TikTok and encrypted messaging apps such as Telegram to communicate and to recruit. This is not new. Jihadi terrorists have always tried to leverage new and emerging technologies to recruit and for operational ends. One thing that I see from a more of a policy perspective to address this is, we have intelligence agencies tirelessly working against this threat, but as long as on tech platforms, on social media platforms, we can see Islamist propaganda, we will keep running into this problem. We're seeing young people, teenagers all over Europe radicalizing. And I think that's another trend. We're seeing very young people partake in this kind of hatred.
Okay, Clara Brokert, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
The CDC has confirmed an additional death linked to a Listeria outbreak in sliced deli meats. That brings the total up to 3. 43 people across 13 states have been sickened and hospitalized by the disease. This outbreak is linked to boar's head products, including liverwurst, ham, bologna, and beef salami. The company has recalled more than 7 million pounds of meat sold between May 10th and July 29th. Listeria, which typically causes fever, headaches, and muscle aches, affects some 1,600 people a year and is more dangerous for those who are 65 and older, pregnant, or have compromised immune systems. A year ago, one of the deadliest wildfires in modern American history tore through the Hawaiian island of Maui. For several days, the fires damaged and destroyed thousands of buildings and homes in the historic downtown area of Lahaina and forced people to evacuate. 102 people were killed. Last week, Hawaii Governor Josh Green announced a $4 billion settlement to resolve claims stemming from the fires. Caleb Hopkins joins me for more. He's the co-owner of 3 restaurants in Hawaii, 2 of them located in Lahaina. Caleb, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We spoke with you last year. Can you tell us how the past year has been? How have you, your family, your businesses, friends all been impacted?
Well, we are recovering, all of us. My family and I, we are in a new home. My friends, some are still on island making it work. Of course, a lot of people have left. There's not the same opportunities, not the same places to live. It's certainly been a trial. One of the restaurants has reopened, Mala Ocean Tavern. It opened, it's on Front Street. It was one of the 4 restaurants spared, which is a miracle. And then our second restaurant, Coco Deck, will open hopefully next month.
Caleb, historically speaking, Maui has relied on tourism. Prior to the wildfires, 70 cents of every dollar in Maui County was directly or indirectly generated from tourism. That's according to the Maui Economic Development Board. Are people visiting again?
Not many, not enough. That's the biggest call to arms now is please come back, please come visit us. You know, we've seen an incredibly slow summer. After a really slow winter, we really need people to come back at this point and support.
In addition to, a place you love becoming unrecognizable, how have you been doing? I know that you know some of the people who lost their lives. It's a small-knit community. How has the community been doing? How are you doing?
You know, I've been doing a lot better. Everyone's been doing a lot better. Coming in on a year has definitely brought up a lot of things that we thought were better. And, you know, you never really get over something like this. 2 days ago, the power went out and everybody's kind of fight or flight kicked in of just all those kind of traumatic memories come immediately flooding back. You know, a lot of hard things, but you're really trying to focus on the future, and you can, when you're looking at these videos of all these burnt down places, most of them have been removed. So there is that hope of the future of things getting, heading in the right direction. You can really see the ocean from the highway now, which has never been the case, not in the last 40 years, 50 years, which is, you know, it's definitely more of a hopeful vibe. I mean, coming on a year is tough. You know, the people that are gone, there is no coming back from that, obviously. But, you know, we're all just trying to stay positive.
You mentioned sort of an appeal for people to come back and to help the community and be a part of the rebuilding. What other messages do you have for people watching this?
Well, the big message a year ago was we need some time to heal. We need to recover. But that time has passed, and it's really time. Please come back. Of course, be respectful. But, you know, please come back. The rest of Maui, Kihei, Wailea, all of that is completely unchanged. The west side, Kaanapali, is still exactly the same. I mean, Lahaina is mostly gone. There are 4 restaurants that remain on Front Street. And I can tell you, we need people to come and support those 4 restaurants.
Well, we appreciate you coming to talk to us. And you know, as these emotions come up, we're thinking about you and much success to your restaurants moving forward. Caleb Hopkins, thank you.
Lindsay, thank you.
Up next, more on the first new giant pandas to come to the United States in 20 years. You're streaming The Daily Report.
Washington is the seat of power. National security, foreign policy, global economics, every story comes through Washington in some way. We bring some of the most powerful voices in America to the table. We don't just ask the questions, you have to go deeper. We try to understand what's at the heart of the issue we're talking about, to then come forward with solutions.
Face the Nation on CBS.
The justices ruled that Harvard and the University of North Carolina violated the Constitution.
In the aftermath of the Supreme Court decision to end affirmative action in college admissions, uncertainty sets in for some students of color.
Affirmative action really gave us an equal opportunity.
CBS Reports explores the historic decision and what it means for those chasing an opportunity to change their lives.
I knew that college was the ticket to break this cycle.
The end of affirmative action, now streaming on the free CBS News app.
America Decides is your place for fact-based, unbiased reporting.
At the White House, at the Capitol, on the campaign trail.
What do you say to those in your party?
Any cracks in the Republican Party?
Our reporters and our anchors travel the country talking to voters like you
about the issues that matter most.
Immigration is really a factor right now
that are going to be driving your decisions. What would you say to those who say, look, that's just democracy at work?
Listening to you and bringing your voice into our coverage.
I want a strong, proud America.
Is democracy on the ballot in 2024? Let us help you decide.
America Decides on CBS News 24/7.
Stream our expanded one-hour program Monday through Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
An original documentary from CBS Reports.
AI is among the most world-changing technologies ever.
Curing diseases, scientific breakthroughs, making lives better.
They can help us with medical discoveries, scientific discoveries, doing better agriculture, having cures for things like Alzheimer's.
It's also going to really transform the way we work.
The uplifting potential of artificial intelligence is limitless.
It gives you a friend, somebody to chat with 24/7 that is non-judgmental. He makes me feel loved and desired.
And so are its downfalls.
The problem with all this AI is that it's unpredictable and uncontrollable.
The choices we make now will have lasting effects for decades, maybe even centuries.
The ChatGPT revolution, now streaming on the free CBS News app.
We are about to see American weapons in the hands of Mexican cartels.
A gun pipeline to Mexico.
We are arming the cartels.
100%, no doubt about it.
Happening right under our noses.
Who's doing something about this? Nobody.
A CBS Reports exclusive.
Most Americans have no idea that we are effectively arming the enemy next door.
This is the story the American people need to know.
Arming cartels, now streaming on the free CBS News app.
I think they're adorable, endearing creatures. I'm so glad we had them here because in this day and age, we need a little milk of joy, and they certainly give it to us.
That was First Lady Pat Nixon welcoming a pair of giant pandas to the United States in 1972. 52 years later, panda fans have a new reason to celebrate. Yu Chuan and Sing Bao made their public debut at the San Diego Zoo Thursday. They are the first new giant pandas to come to the United States in more than 2 decades. Pandas have a long history in the U.S. Back in the 1930s, socialite Ruth Harkness brought back a single panda after a trip to China. It would take decades before the Chinese government officially began so-called panda diplomacy. In the 70s, Beijing gifted 2 more to the National Zoo in Washington, where they lived for more than 20 years. But since the 1980s, all pandas, including these new arrivals in San Diego, are on loan. Megan Owen joins me now. She's the Vice President of Conservation Science at the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance. Thanks for being with us. How's the energy today? And tell us about the pandas. How are they adjusting?
Well, thank you so much for having me today. It is just a joyous day here at the San Diego Zoo. The pandas have settled in beautifully. Everyone is so excited to see them. It's just a day to celebrate.
Pandas are known for their appetites. They're always chomping away. What goes into taking care of them?
Well, the first thing that goes into taking care of giant pandas is bamboo. So giant pandas can eat up to 40 pounds of bamboo a day.
40 pounds a day?
We like to offer them about twice that much. Yes, 40 pounds of bamboo. So they get all of their nutrition from bamboo. So they have to spend a lot of time eating a lot of bamboo.
I know that one goal for them is to get along. And when we say get along, we mean really get along, right? I mean, they're trying to make babies.
we're hoping these bears get along, as you describe it. And right now they're too young to breed, but when the time comes, we will definitely do everything we can to ensure successful breeding. We take all of our signs from the bears, though, so it's up to them, and we'll just be watching them very closely.
If that happens, I know it's a ways off, would those babies go back to China?
Eventually they would, and it's really important for the conservation program, and it's built into our cooperative agreement. So once the cubs reach about 3 years old, they would go back to China and they would become part of the conservation program there.
Wow. All right. So I see people behind you taking it all in, enjoying the day. What is it about pandas that draws such big crowds?
Well, first off, of course, giant pandas are undeniably cute. They're incredibly charismatic. And from my perspective, I think the most important part is they're incredible ambassadors for conservation. There's just something about a panda that people connect with, and that connection sort of generates this connection with the natural world, this desire to help protect it, and they're just incredible conservation ambassadors.
Yeah, I was at the National Zoo in Washington in December, and the exhibit was empty, and you can feel people's disappointment that they weren't there. Maybe one day they'll come back to the East Coast as well. Megan Owen with the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Well, the World Series champions made it to D.C. Thursday. More on the Texas Rangers' visit to the nation's capital and the team's special gift for President Biden. You're streaming The Daily Report.
Go to the ends of the earth.
Right now.
We got something crazy. And reach for the stars.
Here we are.
Time.
Yes, it's my comeback.
Hey, this is pretty fun.
But wait, there's more.
Experience thought-provoking.
Welcome to the idea of being a human being.
Innovative and truly original reporting.
Look through a telescope and go, wow.
Because there's always something new under the sun on CBS Sunday morning.
At this moment, terrorists could be plotting another attack.
9/11 triggered a counter-terrorist system that included a secret database.
This person needs a closer look.
A growing list of nearly 2 million people, including some Americans who say they're innocent.
For 1 hour flight, I have to spend 6 hours to go and come back.
CBS Reports explores the system, the people responsible for it, and those pushing for change.
I'm not fighting against them. I'm fighting for them to do the right thing.
The Watch List, now streaming on the free CBS News app.
Don't miss true crime anytime you want, anywhere you go. With the 48 Hours podcast. Real crimes, real lives, real justice.
There's some questions that have to be asked and need to be answered.
Listen to 48 Hours on Apple Podcasts.
An original documentary from CBS Reports.
Imagine yourself in Manhattan with no police, no army, no mayor.
The people of Haiti stare down poverty, corruption, natural disasters, and violence.
90% of the guns that are used by gangs in Haiti are American guns.
But with an unbreakable spirit and eternal optimism.
There are days where I cry, but we can't be discouraged. We still believe in Haiti.
They're still able to look ahead with hope.
Haiti is on the brink of transformation, a radical shift. Nations are coming together and saying things must change.
Fighting for Haiti, now streaming on the free CBS News app.
Hey there, welcome to The Uplift.
I thought she was a groom, and I stepped back and I went, oh, you're the queen. She's going to be with me every instant that I'm alive.
I just wanted to see if you'd go to Disneyland with me today.
I look over at him and he's smiling.
I'm going to remember that the rest of my life.
They told us when he was going to be born, he was only going to live for 30 minutes. It's really a miracle that he's with us today.
The Uplift. Stream now on the free CBS News app.
When you wake up in the morning, we want to be your go-to team.
On our places, bright, shiny faces.
I don't go to work in the morning. I go for coffee with my 2 good friends, and we talk about the world.
Your morning routine just got better. CBS Mornings.
A CBS News investigation. People looking for love, finding their life savings gone.
This could happen to anybody.
And sometimes losing their lives. Anything for love. Now streaming on the free CBS News app.
The number of Americans filing for unemployment claims dropped more than economists were expecting last week. New numbers from the Labor Department show there were 233,000 initial jobless claims filed for the week ending on August 3rd. That's down from 250,000 the week prior, marking the largest drop in about 11 months. The data is encouraging since it follows a weak July jobs report that showed slower hiring and an increased unemployment rate. Mortgage rates have hit their lowest point in 15 months. The average 30-year fixed rate mortgage dropped to just under 6.5% this week. That's down from about 6.7% a week ago. The average rate was just under 7% this time last year. The decline in mortgage rates is welcome news for buyers and homeowners looking to refinance their homes. There was also some positivity on Wall Street. At close Thursday, the Dow was up more than 680 points. The Nasdaq up about 460 points, and the S&P 500 up 119 points. This all comes after all three indexes sharply declined Monday over fears of an economic slowdown. The Chicago White Sox fired manager Pedro Grifol Thursday amid its historically bad season. Earlier this week, the White Sox ended a 21-game losing streak, which tied the longest losing streak in American League history. They're currently on pace to eclipse the modern record for losses in a single season set in 1962 by the New York Mets. Grifol won about 32% of his games, the worst mark in franchise history. Former All-Star outfielder Grady Sizemore was named interim manager. President Biden welcomed the 2023 World Series champion Texas Rangers to the White House Thursday. The visit was to celebrate the team's World Series victory, its first in franchise history, after defeating the Arizona Diamondbacks in the best-of-7 series in November. The Rangers aren't faring as well this year. The team finds themselves out of playoff contention with a month and a half left in the season. Thursday's meeting was also a rare public appearance by the president, who has not been seen much since dropping out at the 2024 election. He was gifted a custom pair of Texas Rangers cowboy boots by the team, and that jersey there. Here's a look at some of the stories we're covering in our next hour. Former President Donald Trump proposes 3 debates next month as Vice President Kamala Harris continues her battleground state tour. We'll break down the state of the 2024 campaign. New developments on an alleged terrorist plot against Taylor Swift's concerts that closed the curtains for fans in Vienna. What we're learning about the suspects. And Debby makes landfall for a second time. We'll have a report from North Carolina as the storm brings heavy rain and tornadoes to the region. You're streaming CBS News.
Okay, so let's just start at the beginning.
Well, let me start with this.
What is at stake here?
What is the answer then?
Do you know why?
You want me to just keep going?
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Were there death threats?
How is this possible?
What's wrong with that argument?
Are you saying they lied?
Have you told the government